Thank you very much. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Insurance Benefits and Ledge Committee for Wednesday, August 3rd. Man, I can't believe it's August 2022. Terry, call the roll, please.
Thank you. This meeting is being conducted virtually, so I will do a roll call of the trustees to confirm attendance. Mr. Knox,
I'm here.
Mr. Santos. Mr. Santos,
That'd be you.
let's see. Ms. Gray,
Good morning.
Mr. Bernstein,
Good morning, everyone.
Mr. Sanchez,
Hi, good morning.
Mr. Moore,
Good morning.
Mr. Kehoe,
Good morning.
Ms. Sapanta, Mr. Harris,
Good morning.
and Mr. Pryor will not be joining us today. Chair Robbins.
I am here.
Staff participating in the meeting include CEO Santos Kryman, DCEO Louis Lugo, AEOs JJ Popowich and Laura Guglielmo, Chief Counsel Stephen Rice, Legislative Affairs Officer Barry Liu, from Retiree Healthcare, Cassandra Smith, Director, and Kathy Magida, consultants Stephen Murphy, Richard Ward, Michael Zito, and Stephanie Messier from Siegel, Lisa Moreno from Kaiser. Trustees, please use the Zoom chat option to be placed in queue. At this time, we ask all meeting participants to mute your mics until you are ready to speak, and we may now proceed with the agenda.
Thank you very much. Item number 1 is approval of the minutes of the July 6th meeting. I need a motion.
So moved.
Are there any changes, corrections? Seeing none. Call
Ms.
roll.
Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe,
Aye.
Mr. Moore,
Aye.
Chair Robbins.
I'm an aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
Right, item 2, public comment. Is there anyone from the public that we know of wishing to address the committee?
I have nothing.
Thank you. We will move on to item 3A, the engagement report for July. Mr. Liu.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Chair Robbins and committee trustees. Some items of interest for your committee today. So as you all know, inflation and the cost of living is just front and center for everybody. So the first item concerns the Elder Index, which is a cost of living index that's developed at the University of Massachusetts. And what it does is it uses public databases to calculate the cost of basic necessities and to compile a budget that's adjusted for older adults, whether they live alone or as a couple, their level of health, and where they own or rent their homes. So the index shows some interesting numbers, such as that 5 million older women living alone, 2 million older men living alone, and more than 2 million couples had incomes that were economically insecure. They give an example that if the federal poverty threshold is around 12,000, a single older adult in good health paying rent needed about 27,000 on average for basic expenses, which is about 14,000 more than that basic threshold. One of the reasons is that the federal poverty standards don't really account for geographical variations, even though they're used to decide eligibility for safety net programs. So organizations around the country have been trying to use the index for advocacy purposes. Also, interestingly, by law, California's area agencies for aging use the index in their planning purposes. The next item concerns the state of Connecticut, where a lot of employee retirements seem to be driven by inflation and COLA. So it's estimated about 4,400 Connecticut state employees will retire before July 1st, which is double the number of retirements in the past 3 years. And the reason for this is a change in how COLAs are calculated due to a 2017 concession. So these employees retired before July 1st are subject to the old rules, where the COLA occurs within the first 9 to 15 months of retirement. And the COLAs are also a minimum of 2%, whereas those who retire after July 1st receive a COLA 30 months after retirement, which means they possibly could miss about 2 COLAs in that same period under the old rules. Also, it's possible they might receive COLAs that are under 2% if the CPI doesn't exceed 2%. So this is also coupled with about a 17% job vacancy rate, which is also double than what the state experienced in the last 2 years at around 9%. So these are kind of putting some pressures on on hiring for the state of Connecticut. The next item is the 2023 IRS limits. The IRS hasn't released those limits yet. Generally around November, we'll see them, but Milliman forecasts that for this coming year, because inflation is about 9.1% and the inflation drives these adjustments, Milliman is forecasting that the comp limit will be, for next year, will be 335,000, which is about a 30,000 increase from last year. And also the benefit limitation would be 265,000, which is about a 20,000 increase from last year. Generally, these increases I've seen are about 5 to, I don't know, 15,000 or so. So you can definitely see the effect of inflation and, increasing these limits. And then finally, the last item concerns former ABA players. This was the American Basketball Association. So the NBA recently voted to establish a $24.5 million fund for these players, former ABA players who have been struggling to pay for basic necessities. So these players, what happened was when the ABA merged with the NBA back in 1976, only 4 ABA teams went over to the NBA, which were the Pacers, the Nuggets, the Nets, and the Spurs. But any other ABA players who weren't part of that merger were basically left without, paychecks or pensions. So these players are now in their late 60s, 70s, and 80s, and about 115 players are eligible for these payments. The NBA is not calling them pensions; they're calling them recognition payments, which is probably for good reason, because if it's established as a pension, then they're going to be subject to various technical compliance requirements for ERISA. But these payments would be given to players who have at least a minimum of 3 years of service. So it's going to be about $3,800 for each year of service, which works out to about $957 a month. And the player with the most years of service of 9 would receive about $35,000 a year. And so this payment was basically a result of years-long advocacy by a nonprofit, which was founded to help struggling ABA players. So that concludes my report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Barry? Seeing none, we'll go on to item B, staff activities report for July. Cassandra.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Just one thing to report, in collaboration with our carriers, we have began our retiree drug subsidy payment request with the federal government for fiscal year 2020-2021. For those who may not be familiar, the background on our retiree drug subsidy program, it authorizes employers and union groups that with qualifying prescription drug plans to receive a retiree drug subsidy from the federal government. And we do this on an annual basis. And that is it.
Thank you very much. Item C, claims experience. Mr. Murphy, it's all yours.
Morning, board. Attached in your packet is the summary of the experience for the period ending June 2022. Again, the first page is a distribution of premium and enrollment across the various plans. No significant change there. On page 2 of that report, direct your attention to the bottom chart for Anthem, and this chart is focused on the non-Medicare medical and prescription drug plans. Year over year, we saw the average cost per retiree increased 9.1% for Anthem, 2.2% for Cigna, and in Kaiser, 30.5%. This is carryover information from the last month's report. We'll get some updated information from Kaiser in the next round of reporting. But as you recall, there was some very significant large claim activity under the Kaiser plan. So not a surprise there, just wanted to highlight that for you. For the Anthem plans across the spectrum, all plans combined, we're looking at about a year over year 0.7% increase. The non-Medicare plans increased 9.1%, prudent buyer 2.4%, and the Medicare supplemental plan also increased 9.1%. Kaiser utilization, again, just to highlight the key area here is the significant number of large claims in excess of $475,000. We had 9 claimants under this period, but this is only claims data through March 31, 2022. So we'll have updated information at the next report cycle. This is a chart showing the impact of a large claim activity. And again, just indicative of the impact large claims are having on the Kaiser plan for the experience that we have to date. This chart shows the impact of pharmacy rebates, which help to offset the overall budget. This is also carryover information. We expect an update for the period through June 30 in the next reporting cycle. And the last page is illustration of the dental and vision claims experience. Again, we're getting back now towards a normal kind of claim activity, as dentists and optometrists are certainly accustomed now to COVID protocols, et cetera. So starting to see that return to normal activity. So again, not a surprise there. Any questions on the claims experience? Must be some really insightful graphs.
You ready for D then?
I am. We included 2 items in the packet for compliance news. The first one, just for your reference, is kind of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. So there's a lot of flux with respect to kind of fertility coverage and abortion specifically. And just to make this as tangible as possible, Kaiser, while certainly very centered in California, has plans across the country, including Georgia. Georgia is one of the states where abortions are now illegal. So Kaiser's having to kind of figure out what to do there. So if we were to have LACERA retiree in Georgia with Kaiser, there would be issues in terms of where would they seek care. Kaiser's investigating some travel benefits to kind of relocate someone there. So again, there's so much yet to be seen and understood with regard to this, but we'll see what's coming out over the next few weeks. I haven't seen the results this morning, but I think state of Kansas was doing a referendum yesterday with regard to ensuring abortion coverage. And I think it passed, but I don't know for sure. See, Trustee Harris is, I think, nodding his head. So I'll take that as
Yeah, by about 60%.
okay, fantastic. Thank you for that. The last item that we had in your packet is just another update on the national public health emergency with respect to COVID-19. Not a surprise, it was extended through October 13, 2022. That has significant impacts with respect to member out-of-pocket, no out-of-pocket for testing, no out-of-pocket for treatment. So that will continue at least through October 13th. And indication is that HHS will give at least 60-day notice if they plan to wind that down. I won't speculate, but we're getting precariously close to flu season, so I have no idea how that would kind of wind down by October, but we'll see. So we'll see what happens. So any questions on the legislative updates?
By the way, I think we don't want to confuse people. What happened is it was defeated by 60%. So the no vote meant that Kansas would maintain their constitutional right to abortion. So it was one of those situations where if you voted yes, you were actually voting to do away with abortion in Kansas. If you voted no, you were saying you wanted to maintain the Constitution as it was written, which provided for abortion rights in Kansas. So it was defeated by 60%.
Thank you. I'm just scooping that lightly, going, a no is a yes. I got it.
That's right. Kind of like California.
A little bit. All right. Well, we have nothing else to add at this point, so I'll turn it back to the chair.
Any questions for Steve? Seeing none, items for staff review.
I don't have any.
Thank you very much. Terry, why don't you just go down the good of the order and just call everybody off one at a time and see if
Okay.
anybody has anything.
Mr. Knox, I'll come back. Mr. Santos,
Do you hear me?
I can now.
Oh, okay, good. Nothing. Just checking the, the mic. Thank you very much.
Ms. Gray,
I have nothing.
Mr. Bernstein,
Nothing for me.
Mr. Sanchez,
Nothing from me. Good morning.
Mr. Moore,
Sorry, I don't have anything to add.
Mr. Kehoe,
Nothing on my end.
Mr. Harris,
Nothing on my end. Thank you.
Chair Robbins.
Just be well. That's it. With that,
Chair Robbins, can I just say one thing quickly?
sure.
With permission. So good morning, Chair Robbins and trustees. I just wanted to let you know that I did receive an email late last week from the county regarding the lifetime medical benefits. they're prepared and ready to talk with us. So we're scheduling a meeting within the next week or two to go over, the findings of their consultants, and then to talk about options to either remove, do away, or keep things the way they are. I'm not sure exactly where they're leaning, but at least they're continuing to engage and talk. And so I'll report back out as soon as I can.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, I also have something I'd like to
Sure.
bring up. In your CEO report for today's board meeting, I have placed in there information about a privacy breach with Kaiser Southern California region. I have invited Lisa Moreno, who is our account management team for Kaiser, here in the event that you have additional questions on that topic.
Thank you very much. Anything else? How about a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We're adjourned.